Darius, very happy to meet you. Thank you for joining us on Lazarus.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sasha. I appreciate it. Thanks for the introduction too. So that was
Very
yeah.
good, very good. So
Yeah.
when you sit next to someone on a plane or get asked what it is that you do vocationally, how do you broach the subject?
Yeah, so I've gotten asked that a few times, and actually I just shy away from it. And I was actually told not to shy away from it. So I'd tell them, I'd say, I teach people how to awaken the dormant abilities through the physical body to access the other side. And then they go, "What's that?" And then that's where the conversation starts. I'm like, well, did you ever hear about out of body experiences? And typically they say, yeah, like astral stuff. And I'm like, well, did you ever hear of the like, gateway project and stuff like that? Because some people are connected to that. And then yeah, conversation leads from there. So yeah.
So Gateway Project for the layman.
Well, I believe that I'm saying that. I hope I'm saying that right. That's a lot of people are accustomed with that. That's part of the CIA secret documents of teaching people this. So they were teaching people how to leave their bodies to spy on top secret information and stuff like that.
Right.
So
So remote,
yeah,
remote viewing, sending people in the astral to go
yeah,
and check out nuclear codes and submarines and what have you.
yeah. So
And that
yeah.
that that's well documented, well attested stuff. I mean, Kathy O'Brien's a beloved friend of mine, the MK Ultra, a grand priestess survivor of MK Ultra, and she's told me a fair bit about that. But indeed, it has been a pretty nefarious practice in the military industrial basement for a long time. Do you think it's still going on as much nowadays?
Um, I could tell you people are still being trained in secrecy, but this is done in Antarctica, and people are being trained for more advanced things than just, let's just say, remote viewing. Like, they're actually tapping into a lot of internal tech as well. So
Yes, yeah.
yeah,
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 no, I've had some super soldiers on the show, and going all the way back to Men Who Stare at Goats. Dr. Rima Leibau's, who's a beloved friend and someone we have on the show frequently, and her husband, who's now deceased, General Major Albert Stubblebine, of course, was the arch hero in the U.S. military at that time, disclosing what was going on in the basement. Interesting stuff. So let me
yeah.
jump here. What was? Can
I
I
want to
ask
go
you?
back to that though. Yeah, well, I just want to rewind with what you said with the secret or military stuff like that. Um, what I was referring to there, what people in what I've observed is, and also observed in the out of body state as well, is the electromagnetic field fully switching on. So when you look at telekinesis, that is done through increasing the electromagnetic field of the physical body. And then because everything has an electromagnetic field. So if you could increase that physically, then you could interact with the electromagnetic field of things all around you. This is interfering with technology, interfering with physical things. So it's not like there is a science to it too. So it's not just airy fairy, but that's sort of
No,
what
no,
I'm.
for sure. I,
Yeah,
I don't I don't
mm,
suggest it's airy fairy in the slightest. I mean, they don't put billions of
yeah,
dollars into airy fairy in the military.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So let's talk about Alpha Point with you, your personal experience and your own sort of visceral experience and exploration of this. So your first out of body experience, are you able to share that story and how it led
yeah.
you to explore realms like the halls of Amanti and beyond?
Yeah. So the very first was since a child, but I didn't understand it, didn't know what's going on. But luckily enough, I had support. Like as parents didn't shut it down. They didn't say, "Oh, don't do this." So I was, you could say, brought up in a way where it was supported to keep on going forward with it. Um, Now, not understanding for years of what I was doing, it wasn't until Morocco, and then slightly after that as well is when I learned how to get control over it at will. And that all came down to understanding what sleep paralysis was and how to really control that state. That led me to one of my first, I would say, profound experiences. Um, was back at 16, but I won't necessarily cover that because I think there's more important things to cover. But I would say in Morocco is when I started to realize the true state of reality that your physical body does. It's just a vehicle, and the soul is your true state. It's your
Mhm.
eternal self. Once you leave, and once you are shutting down your body every single night where you feel like you're dying, you have to get rid of the fear of death. And so when you come out of your body and you're looking at your physical body sleeping on the bed every single night, like that causes a shift. I mean, we inherently know that death is not real, but it's totally different from when you're actually seeing your physical body on the bed while your soul is out, but the soul feels more physical than the physical body that you just left.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's sort of catapulted everything. Yeah. Um, then going into accessing information was the halls of Mente was a pretty big one because that's when I was introduced in the halls of Mente when I completely got rid of fear. And that's when I realized that fear, what they use here, fear is controlling your soul, controlling your mind. When you have fear, you know, you shut off big portions of your brain.
Mhm.
So it's the same thing with the soul. So when you have fear in your soul, when you're out, you block yourself off from information. And
Mhm.
so when I got rid of that, I was introduced to the halls of Mente and I was accessing the basically the whole database. It's a whole record of information. There's halls, there's doorways, some doorways. In the beginning, I wasn't able to go through because I realized later on through continuous targeting this and going through it that these passageways are based off certain frequency. And so this is why even like the living gold, for instance, is not accessed. Like man will never reach that here because it's not located here. It's located within a certain frequency. And when the soul's in that frequency, then everything starts to open up, things start to present themselves to you.
Mhm.
This is why when you're in integrity and unconditional love, you could say the kingdoms of heaven truly open at that point. Yeah. So that was a massive one for me, the halls of Mente, because I started to get a lot of the memories of that, you could say the past, that history. That a lot of the history as well that we've been told is not true at all. Like we're told medieval castles and things like that. When the castles and the structures that were built back then or constructed, we are finding those buildings. We didn't build those, and those were based off, modeled off the construct design, and all that was in the same time frame. You're talking about Egypt, Atlantis, the Great War. All of those structures were all part of what they consider the Great War and the reset and the fall. So, accessing
Can you
that through
put
the
a
halls of
date?
it.
Can you put a date on that, more or less?
Um, I can't put a date, but I'm going to say anywhere from 500 up to 2000 years ago is in between that time
Yeah,
frame
agreed. Agreed.
is when it all happened. So and then
Agreed.
all the history that we're given from that point is not it's not true at all.
No, it's a
Yeah.
concoction.
Mm, mm.
Good.
So
So, halls of Amenti, is that your understanding? That's a self-existing, self-revealing phenomena that avails itself to those who have attuned their frequency and their capacitance to be able to receive that benediction. So, as you said, if you're cloaked in fear, it's not going to reveal
mm.
itself to you. But once you've moved through those false light veils within the revelation of self, you're brought into that realm. You're allowed to participate into that realm. So, is your understanding that the halls of Amenti are the Akashic record in a more kind of physical construct in that sense, or a more manifest construct?
It's a part of the records, yeah. So you could say it's a part of what people call Akashic record to simplify it. Now it's not the whole record. Like there's a massive database of
Yeah.
information, like, but yeah, it's a big part, and that record with the halls of Mente is particular to the history here. It's yeah, yeah.
The history of Tara,
But
the history of Earth, the history of our vector in the
mm,
cosmos.
Mm,
And
mm.
and our vector and our vector is a very important vector, right? Can you elucidate on that? Why is this
Yeah,
such a remarkable vector?
yeah. So this is all right. The this was created. So this is a creation from, let's just say, the creator. Now the creator is not one being, and it's not one particular entity, but this place is created. And this place is created based off the things that I've uncovered through the outer body was to experience that which we are not on the other side. And that experiencing of what we are not on the other side gives us a certain perception of wisdom that would have never been birthed unless it was experienced.
Mm.
So when you create a creation like that, then you also have the unforeseen. And this is where you go into, a lot of people aren't experiencing that which they originally agreed upon, because this is where you go into the spiritual warfare and all those things. Because once you convince a soul, because a soul, who you are, the foundation, is the ultimate authority, just like every other soul. Once you convince a soul that it could be entrapped, it can be imprisoned, or other things, then due to its will and its word and its thought of creation, will start to manifest these things and create its own prison. And so, in order to break free from that prison, you have to become a greater soul than before you came here. You see, because
Very
how
good.
does the
Very good.
all, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and that also explains how free will becomes just a function, becomes a mechanism of that greater realization. So that's beautiful.
mm,
I like it. So halls of a mente, is it a it's a quantum domain. You access it when you are frequency attuned to it and one has earned or
yes.
merited that revelation. That's beautiful. Who or what are the guardians of that remarkable um, that remarkable domain? Who are the guardians, custodians of it?
Um, so I, when I was there, there was a, you could call them custodians, but it's not necessarily that they would even limit your access. And I want to make that clear before I say what I'm going to say, because it's not like there's a guardian that's going to prevent you. It's, if your soul meets that frequency, then you're allowed access. Nothing can stop you. It's only when you don't meet that frequency you will be
Yeah,
presented with certain, you know,
obstacle.
or just not allowed in entirely, because it's all frequency based. Happened to me.
Mm.
But there's a reason why everything is based on 12. Yeah. So the 12 apostles, the 12 months, the, you know, so everything's based within this construct is based off 12. So I'm just going to say 12. What you're talking about, guardians, that's going to be it there.
Yeah, yeah.
To in short, yeah. But yeah, without going down other things and other belief systems and stuff.
And these are elemental beings. Can you describe them, their function and appearance, if indeed there is an appearance?
Yeah, so they look like very verbatim what a seraphim would look like. So if you take the original angel, what people think of as an angel, where the white wings and stuff, these beings are usually black. You know, they wear cape, stuff like that, and
Mm.
it's very, yeah, seraphim. So if you take a look at seraphims online, you that will give you a good understanding of what they look like. Yeah,
And
based off what I've
they
seen.
manifest. I'm trying to get a fix on when you're taken to the hall of a mentee and what are you actually visually, in that sense, what are you visually presented with? I'm trying to understand what that experience is. Does one have to interface with the custodian, so to speak? Are you
No, no,
grilled?
no,
Is
no, no. So okay, I get what you're saying. Okay, so no, not necessarily. It wasn't like that for me because I was presented there by one being that wasn't necessarily a custodian of that sense of what you're saying. That was just by someone that I knew personally that has
a
brought me
guide, so to
there.
speak,
Yeah, yeah,
like a
yeah, yeah,
guide.
yeah,
Right.
yes. Um, and that wasn't a part of that at all, but that was an entity that brought me there. and presented me with that. Now, when I first got access to that, like I said before, my frequency, my soul was not in the right state because I had all this fear, all of these belief systems, all these things, oh, I'm going to get harmed and trapped and all that stuff. And I had to push past that. Like I really had to resolve all of my fear, like facing them completely. And then
Mm,
that's when everything opened up. That's when I was guided to that place. When I stepped into fearless, not being fearful. And like I said before, once I've entered that, the halls of Mente through the pyramids, there's a hall that opens up. Yeah. That's when I've noticed all of these scripts, these tablets, these ancient artifacts, understanding what baptism really was, understanding the electromagnetic field, being told about the great work, the living golds, even there as well,
mm,
that your soul could, you could actually touch, you could interact with it as well. Um, those things didn't present to me until later on. You're talking about a year or so from continuously coming out and targeting that place to access it until I was in integrity and unconditional love. Like just they would not open up until I was actually in that
mm.
frequency. Like you can't pretend. Yeah. Like you can't pretend that frequency has to be, you have to be in it. You have to be it.
That's
Yeah.
right. Very
Yeah.
good. I like
Yeah.
1999. I was in the Great Pyramid and spent a night there in Egypt. I was living in Egypt at the time, and
Mm.
I had a very similar experience to that. I lost my nerve shortly before dawn. Some rush of fear came into me in the king's chamber, and I tried to flee and run out of the pyramid. Try and run out of the pyramid. Good luck, and
Yeah.
I got blocked going down the main hall by these huge elemental creatures that came out of the bank of the stone walls and blocked my passage. And it was
Yeah.
such a fierce energy. These were very large creatures, I don't know, 20, 30 foot tall, and blocked my passage. So there was no getting out until I addressed that fear. And only
Mm.
once I completely reconditioned myself into the living moment, and then they melted back into the walls, and I was allowed to move through them and to the exit. Um, and yeah, so what you said to me was very, very palpable for me, an experience. I remember that personally many, many years ago,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I love the
Yeah.
fact that that seems to be a rite of passage that all of us need to acknowledge and address within ourselves. That really fear is a construct of ourselves, and it is not being done to us. Nothing is being done to us. We invoke and conjure, and only once
Mm.
we release ourselves from those self-imposed spells are we liberated fully. And so I love that. Thank you for that. That's very beautiful.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
mentioned the pyramids. Were you talking about the Giza pyramids in particular?
Yeah, yeah. Now that was my first introduction to access the information there.
Right.
But there's actually many of them. There's many access points. Some are in Antarctica because there's many pyramids all around,
Mm. Mm.
this realm.
Yep.
And so
Oh yeah,
they're different access places for
that's right.
different information. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
but
right.
that the Giza one is where I go to majority of the time because that's just where a lot of the information that I've
Very good. Very good.
uncovered there.
I'd be interested.
But I just
I'd
want to
be interested
say
to know.
this.
Carry on.
Yeah, yeah. I want to say this as well that the when people think of Egypt, the true origin of Egypt and Atlantis and stuff, that's actually a lot of you could say the largest pyramids are actually in America. Yeah. And also Antarctica as well. Some of them are hidden in the
Right. And
mountains and
where
yeah.
pinpointing where in America particularly?
I actually don't know where in America, um, but I know they're there. Now, even with the Antarctica, do you remember what do you call it? That wave that happened, like in Antarctica, where they saw it on the radar with the ocean. This wave just came
Mhm.
across. They didn't know what
Mhm.
it was. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
Yes,
that
carry
was
on.
actually one of the craft turning on. Now,
Oh,
when
is that
you're
right?
there, so there's actually in Antarctica, there's the whole cloning facilities, the original angels, the bodies, the giants, like the stasis bodies. You could say the
Mm.
perfected bodies. Actually, some of them are still intact there. and
Yes,
some of these bodies are still on craft ships, and
that's right.
that's what was actually happening in that period. Yeah, that was a
So,
massive ship turning on.
so that it was a ship turning on,
Yeah, yeah,
like a
yeah.
space arc, a space arc. I mean, that's I think what we refer to as
Yes,
space arc with Dr. Michael Salla.
yeah,
We've done some work there with him on that. Fascinating. So as they
mm,
turn on, there's a kind of hyperdimensional flux wave that emanates, which is a
yeah,
phenomenon.
mm,
Very, very interesting. Very
yeah,
interesting indeed. And they are awakening, and they've been awakening subsequent to, I think, 1987 with the harmonic convergence, and then 2008. I know I was witnessing an enormous shift at that time, and that was corroborated within a couple of weeks by the great master Adidas Samraj, who sent his envoys to meet me in London, and he corroborated that that same day, same time, in 2008,
mm,
there'd been a monumental shift point, and I'd witnessed it. I was in Bali at 3 o'clock in the morning and was woken up to observe that hyperdimensional phenomenon, but I thought I was going mad. And then when it was corroborated a couple of weeks later, it reset my concerns about my sanity. And then, of course,
yeah.
2011 and 2012 was another kind of epochal moment, and that led to 2020, 2021 crossover. It's just all of these incredible kind of awakening phenomena and events leading us where exactly? I mean, I'm hearing from very significant, shall I say, and substantive sources that, in the next 2 years, we're facing 26 into 27, we're facing another axiomatic event horizon, whereupon something
Oh,
of
yeah,
planetary consequence is going to happen.
yeah. Why that I would agree with that. Yeah, because I've been getting that a lot with like future stuff now. Like, I've been trying to pinpoint certain future events. But yeah, there's something big, major going to happen, and I don't necessarily there is a potential for negative, but I'm getting more of the it's like a fifty
Yes.
fifty. You know,
I'd say more than 50
yeah,
50. I'm an
yeah,
eternal optimist.
yeah. But
Very good.
going back to the ships as well, a lot of the I just want to say the reason why a lot of those original bodies are in stasis because the those were the original bodies that a lot of us used before the fall, before the Great War. And a lot of us projected our consciousness from those original bodies into human, the human ant, because it's an ant compared to the original form,
Yes, that's
into
right.
forms. Yeah.
That's
But
absolutely
anyways,
bang on. I'm here in Cape Town, Southern Africa, and I'm not too far from the cradle of civilization. In fact, Michael Tallinger, my beloved friend, was here yesterday, came to see me. He happened to be driving through the Cape, which was so fortuitous. And he, of course, is the great archaeologist and scientist and explorer connected to the, Adam's calendar and what have you. But this is very much a cradle of civilization and of man, shall we say, as is where you are actually.
mm,
Uluru is vastly underestimated cradle of some
yes,
extraordinary energetics, and I've had the great great blessing of being invited in to work with some of the great maestros in Uluru. Certainly, I
yeah.
participated remotely
So
in the 20
yeah,
ceremony there.
you're totally aware. Yeah, yeah. So you're
I'm,
pretty
I'm
yeah,
fully aware of all of this. It's been my life for a long,
yeah,
long
yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
was going to say this part of the world, the cradle of civilization here, the one that Africa presents. I mean, I am a white African. I grew up in sub-Saharan Africa, and I'm back here for the first time in my middle age. Come back to sub-Saharan Africa for the first time. I lived in Morocco. I lived in Egypt. I've been all around the world.
mm,
Yonks, everyone but my people know I constantly travel. But I'll tell you something here, just looking at these monumental mountain ranges here in Southern Africa and being reminded of the Titans, those past epochs and ages where we were possibly hundreds of kilometers tall in scale, if we're going to talk in terms of scale. Then I
mm.
look at these mountain ranges, they're clearly not what we think they are.
No, they're
They
just chop down trees.
chop down trees in the main, but not just chop down
Yeah.
trees. I remember about 2 years ago, Christy, my producer on Lazarus, and I were hit up by a scientist who had the most impeccable credentials. He was an elder guy, incredibly brilliant, and he said he wanted to disclose some breakthrough information to us. So we went on a call, which I think took about 3 hours, and he started
Mm,
sharing papers with us and images. And oh, sweet Jesus, he started to forensically prove out without any question of doubt, from a purely empirical, scientific, forensic, analytic point of view, he showed to us that, for instance, Atlas mountain range, and we'll talk about North Africa,
mm,
is a fallen titans. These are literally the forms of fallen titans, where when they
mm,
did do unto themselves, and some monumental event occurred, they fell over and died. Creatures
mm.
and formed many of the mountain ranges are the remnants of titans. And yeah, it's just something
Turn.
which when you get into that, you've just got to tear everything up that you think you know about reality, including Socrates and his wisdom. You got to burn it all.
Yeah. It's turned to stone. It's where Medusa comes from as well. Because a lot of these things
Right,
have been turned to stone, you know,
right, right,
based
right.
off a lot of the yes, yeah, yeah.
And how
But go
much
ahead,
of it
go ahead.
is divine comedy? How much of it is divine comedy? What's your experience in interfacing with higher intelligences and the more benevolent kind of intelligences that you clearly move amongst when you're certainly in the astral, and when you're moving into the subtle planes, you have a greater connection to far deeper and more ancient intelligences. They may not be figurative intelligences, but they are deep chasms of intelligence, and clearly you brush with those intelligences. My question to you is, how much of this impeccable shit show of reality is a divine comedy, and how much are we supposed to be having fun in what we're doing and where we're exploring and how we're manifesting? We should be having a lot more fun with it, don't you think?
Yeah, well that's also why um specifically for me, like you'll see, like I'm really careful about not going into the negative things because I've been what I agreed to do was to get people out of fear first because they're already riddled with fear already.
Yeah, yeah,
And understanding who we actually are first, laying that foundation. Once you have that solid foundation laid, then you could start stacking on the mountains of seeing everything. But that soul's not going to spiral down.
right.
Yeah. So the from way out from God's point of view, yeah, this is just an experiment, an experience, an experiment. You could say that has fulfilled its purpose of experiencing that which we are not, God's on the other side, the ultimate authority. But there is also, where people are done. You could say collectively, people are done. Yeah. And this is where, like I said before, where you go into the unforeseen events where things start to push past what was originally agreed upon. And then this is
Mm.
where we are now, where it's like, okay, well, all of these things, and I know that you know the list of things that have gone on here. Um, all of these things has been done, but what we're seeing now, yes, it is just a cosmic joke. Yeah, you could say. But what yeah. But what we're seeing now is now that everything is being revealed, more people are getting closer and closer to the source of truth, the light. The closer they get to that, the bigger the shadow is going to become.
Yeah,
So everything's going to be seen. Everything has to be seen. Yeah, and that's everything. That's the darkest of the darkest. Has to be revealed to people.
indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed, indeed, and on the point of our embarkation into the spiral of ascension, this new trajectory of upshift that we are now
Mm,
morphogenetically or collectively about to steer. I would agree with you. Scouring the basement and actually opening up the basement, the skeletal basement of the archaeo-cosmological basement, is vital. We have to have that reckoning with past. We have to resolve the ancestral blood song. We have got to, in that sense, consciously atone and then absolve ourselves from that
mm,
atonement and move into redemption and salvation. Um, the pyramids in Nubia in Sudan. Have you ever ventured there? And if you haven't, I really recommend you do. I was there last
And
year in a foray into the Sudanese pyramids, and I'm doing a big book right now on pyramids and pyramidology with about over a dozen of the leading lights in the world are participating in it. I'm not going to name them all here, but they're all iconic figures participating in this. So pyramids and pyramidology is something I've been involved in since I was a little tot. But
mm,
I'm curious to know, have you checked out the Sudanese pyramids? And if not, I really urge you to do do some of your forays over there.
yeah, yeah, no, I haven't, but now that you brought it up, I'll do some targeting on it. Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah,
I'd be very,
yeah.
I only say that because right now is the time. Last year, the corrupt 35-year-old government was overthrown, and the new leader invited us in to come and have a look at the pyramids and to help begin to disclose the revelation of what the Nubian pyramids promised to the world in Revelation. And within a couple of weeks of us being there, there was another counter coup by the globalists, and war broke out. It was a
Mm,
shit show. So we haven't been back yet, but I can just tell you, having been there into the Nubian desert and stood amongst these colossal pyramids, some of them twice the size of the ones in Egypt, and certainly
mm.
much, much older. There is something extraordinary going on there, and the people of the desert are holding on a secret there, which is next level. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's you talked about also the what's in that particular pyramid and the stuff that you've been coming up with as well, like what
yeah.
that holds for humanity. I mean, what actually is unfolding for humanity? What's going to unfold? It's disclosure on everything. Um, that's everything's going to get revealed. I mean, the contact that has always been here is going to be revealed. Um, the extraterrestrial races, you know, people that have been working within the government is all going to be revealed as well. And not all of them are human. Even Melania and Trump even knows this as well. Like you'll hear me
Yes.
say a lot, this earthly realm, or not. I say the earthly realm. So realm one is the
Mm.
earthly realm. Now, if you read through what she just wrote and how they are in the know, is that she wrote in her little, you know, page or whatever, she said, this beautiful earthly realm, but maybe not beautiful, but she said this earthly realm. Now, you don't say those words unless you are in the know of this realm that we're in. Yeah. And a lot of these people are in the know, and the ones that are in the know are doing what they can to allow people to wake up themselves by showing
Mhm.
them, while at the same time you have other things that are in the know but do the opposite things and negative things. Yeah. So it's yeah. Yeah.
Well, I would agree with you there with the Trumps. I know some of the family and have done for years, and
Mm,
I've been to there, and there is an enigma at work, and with the young Baron Trump being a classic case of the return of the ancient Tatarian bloodlines. I mean, yes, these giant kids
mm,
that are being born around the world. Restoration of that immanent template is taking place genetically, and
yeah,
it's very exciting. Let's
so
talk about the ADA method and OBEs. So the origins and development. What inspired you to create the ADA method, and how does it facilitate out of body experiences for those that you, in a sense, instruct and tutor?
so that is, I created that, which stands for awaken your dormant abilities, because the being shown what I was shown, and on the other side of them telling me about the great work, which is waking people up to the other side. And now I say the great work in quotations because that's just what they said to me. And I was like, okay, so how do I wake people up to this? Because obviously I'm leaving my body, I'm accessing this information. So do I just talk about the things that I've seen? Do I just preach about it? Do I do that? And for me, everything that I've seen has been through um, everything that I've come to has been through seeing it. You know, if someone were to just tell me, I would just have like a belief about it, like, oh yeah, that I could believe that, maybe not. But now I know. It turns into a knowing. So
Mm,
teaching people how to do it and how to just leave their body to see it for themselves, well, they'll see, I give them like the framework of what we're talking about. Like this is just a basic framework. But once you leave, then you could start, okay, well, what is Antarctica? Or what is the other side? What is the stargates? And you can start seeing it for yourself. And that is the greatest way to wake somebody up. It's the straight arrow,
yes.
to do it. So that's what I've
Experiential,
been doing.
experiential,
Mm,
hands-on in that
mm.
sense.
And
So
it's
how easy is it to take somebody who is not particularly bright, let's say, just a humdrum, pretty mundane human specimen? Are you able to help coach a humdrum human being into these more elevated perspectives, or is it something that requires intelligence?
okay. So yes, yeah, yes, I can, but it depends. Sometimes it takes a lot more work than others because a lot of people are, even if they're shut down, still have that inherent ability to do it. And it's about just triggering that. And then it just wakes back up, very quickly. Some people have done it within the first month or in a week's time. Some people, it's taken them like a year of
Mm,
continuous practice. So it all depends, but it's all possible. It's not like anybody that does it, it's not a matter of oh, I may not achieve it. You will achieve it. It's just a matter of when. Yeah, because everybody has that inherent ability to do it.
yeah, yes.
You see. So that's
Wouldn't you-
yeah,
wouldn't you go wouldn't you go even further and say that everybody does do it? It's just that very few have that cognition and knowledge of doing it. And that's to me what's special about
absolutely.
what you do.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
Very good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that
It's
that's what's special about what you're doing. It's a fluid, conscious movement. I'm going to be very, very well, I'm an honest man, but I will be very blunt. I'm a coward when it comes to astral traveling. So I'm one of those people who cuts the cord. I don't want to witness the breaching of that chasm. I don't want to move from conscious to unconscious in a lucid state. I just don't. I'm a Taurian. I'm a fire. I
mm,
like being in my pasture, chewing my shit, and I don't. I'm a courageous man in what I do in activism and in things I've done in this world. I've dodged a lot of bullets. People know that in my
mm,
networks, but I'm not courageous when it comes to the stuff that you do. I'm just not. I actually
mm.
ask
Well, let
myself,
me
right? But
yeah,
let me finish by
yeah,
saying
yeah, go.
but the signature of my entire life was set by my engagement with angelics in exactly
Mm,
the frame you're talking about. So I have been taken out of body and I have been completely imbued with sound and vibration and then put back into body, completely reset, and that calibrated my
mm,
entire life's work. So I know the importance and the empowerment that comes with that lucid state of being. I witnessed my body and I witnessed the descent back into my body, and I was allowed to play with what I call inverse ascension mechanics by witnessing the star body and the temporal body, connecting, and I
yep.
was allowed to play with that. So I do get it. I've experienced it, but why am I a coward now? And when I shut my eyes at night, I just want to disappear, go to wherever I'm doing, do what I'm doing. Sometimes I do wake up. A few months ago, I woke up in an underground military base in some extraordinary part of
Mm,
this plane. Don't ask where it was, but I viscerally, palpably woke up and I was inside a base and it was an extraordinary place. And they had astrobots protecting it. I interfaced with military people. They seemed to be very benevolent. There was a lot of extraterrestrial engagement. And there was an inner world that I could see through massive kind of concave plate glass. I was able to look down into almost like a Jurassic Park type
mm,
micro civilization with flying craft and ancient prehistoric forests and things. And that was more real than anything I'm experiencing now in temporality. So I have had those experiences, but my question to you is what I want to know, why am I afraid of astral traveling in the normal sense? And are a lot of
mm.
people afraid?
Okay, so the going back to what you said before with astral, I just want to cover that. So this isn't astral travel.
Okay.
Now I just want to get the terminology right, just so it's understood. Yeah. Um, So when people say astral projection, it's not what you're actually accessing astral wise is dimensional space stuff. So this is dreams. So once you fully leave the body, this is no different from a controlled near death experience. So when you look at NDEs, you don't say that they've astral projected. Their
Mm,
soul is leaving. So when you replace astral with dimensional spaces, and then
hmm
even replace dimensional spaces with dreams, which is your thought forms, your field, electromagnetic field. You create at will whatever you're thinking as well. Um, Now, going back as well with the consciousness and stuff that you were saying, and I'm going to answer your question too, but the consciousness, what you were saying before, you're you're not necessarily once you do this 100%, you're not losing everything that Sasha is now. What you're thinking does not change once you leave. So you're not losing this sense of consciousness of splitting and losing yourself. You are 100% the same thought forms that you have. Once you're shutting down the body to when you exit, you think the same way. So much so you'll be thinking, holy fuck, I'm thinking exactly what I'm thinking as you're looking at your soul hands and looking at your physical body on the bed. This is
Right.
this is the difference that I which creates a lot of muddy waters and what I try to clear up a lot because when you have a 100% 100 fully conscious fully present, it's going to feel like you are walking physically, but you'll be able to access the whole multidimensional space, time, thought forms, navigating those and seeing what's taking place in real time. um and I just want to say, I'm going to go because you asked me why do you have that fear? The fear when you look at it, the fear comes down to some version of death. So there's something that you fear in your subconscious of there may be a possibility that if I do go through with this, that the physical body dies. And that's not entirely true either, because there is a point in no return, but it's not a point in no return where you're tricked. It's an absolute knowing and it's an absolute fact without question that you know that it's the point of no return. Near death experience people experience this. Same with out of body experiences. I've been
Mm,
given more times than I could count of being offered to stay. So much so that I would tell the people that I love in my life, I'm like, listen, if I leave, like don't cry because I'm going to be laughing at you. Once I see you crying, totally fine. But I'm not necessarily saying that as a a path to death. But I'm saying that there's nothing to fear because you're in ultimate control with this. Um, Going back again, because there's a lot that you said that I want to recap back as well. Um, you were talking about as well in the beginning with individuals that experience this. Now, can people do this? And we've already talked about before that many people can do this. People are doing it unaware of it. I currently, if my memory serves me correct, I currently have over 30, 37, 39 public testimonials of people doing this. And that's just the public. And Sasha yourself, not a lot of people like to be public. People write me with emails, people, within they share success that I never even share due to privacy. So there's so many people that have achieved this that it's actually to the point now where I could completely walk away from even doing this anymore because those people that have achieved it know about the great work. They have seen it for themselves, and they could become the very flame carriers as well. So
mm.
I've done this very in a smart way, thinking of long term that by teaching individuals how to stand in their ultimate authority and do this, then I'm not the single person to
Very good.
I'm not the head of the snake. You see,
Very good. Yeah.
because there's so many other people, and that's been, I just want to make that clear, Sasha, too. That's been the whole driving force behind this is not just information to people, but showing them how how to truly stand. So then, because this has been done in the past before, where people are showing the way, but they take it in a way of worshiping that person that shows them these things instead of taking that tool and becoming the very God
The
embodied
embodiment. Yeah,
gods. Yeah,
exactly.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Oh,
thank you for that. But taking it
yeah,
back to
yes.
the field then, 'cause I'm not quite resolved there.
Okay.
My one of my older brothers fell asleep on an airplane
Mm.
some years ago and woke up outside of the airplane, seeing the airplane flying through the clouds ahead, and was being pulled back and had a real panic attack and a very hard time
Yeah,
getting back to
yes.
the airplane and into the airplane and into his body. And that always freaked me out when I heard that. But that's the kind of visceral fear
Yes.
I'm talking about not being able to get
Yeah,
back into your fucking body. And
yeah,
because I don't particularly trust the mechanics of this temporal existence. I just don't.
yeah,
And I think
yeah.
that's more my issue. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I could actually relate to that. When I was on a 15-hour flight to America, like I was thinking about doing it on a plane, but I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. But anyways, what when you once you leave, so for instance, to give you an example, there was a point, this was, man, time flies. It's like 6 years now. I was 6 years ago out of my body. I was actually out and I couldn't return back to my body. I was freaking out. I was like real time. I was like 30, 45 minutes. I was actually walking around the kitchen table. I'm like it did actually, I'm actually, this is it. Did I kill the body or something? But there's there's certain cycles that your body's going to go through once you shut it down, where it will reach a point where it dips down so low where you won't be able to re-enter it, but your body's just going to kick back up with its natural cycles where it's going to pull you back in regardless. So, and this is why I said before, there's nothing to fear. Like you will be out of your body venturing and doing things, but you're going to get pulled back in unless you make that decision of I'm not
Mm,
coming back. And that's a soul choice. And there's
yes,
nothing
it
that
is.
could stop you at that point, you
Yes.
know. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. My will be done and all of that.
Mm,
So I'm interested to know. And we have a university, Newark University, which we founded 9, 10 years ago now, I think to 2024. Yeah, 2014. And we have a lot of students around the world, 25, 26,000 registered students. And we do teach different things and do different coursework. I think it would be immensely valuable, and tell me if you agree with this or not, to offer up a special curriculum to people who are either sick or old and who genuinely feel that they may be coming toward the end of their tenure on this in this valley of tears. And for those people who do feel that they are approaching the end of their temporal life and uh, have some fears, some reservations about, the Great Divide and what lies beyond. Do you not think that it might be a very useful and beautiful and purposeful thing to create a curriculum and maybe a special coursework or workshops for people who are either critically ill, infirm, or dying, or just very old, and have these questions and want to learn a bit more about the craft of how to cross the Great Divide? Does that make sense to you?
yeah, I'm following what you're doing. This is why I do teach it, but I know I correct me if I'm wrong. You're asking me to teach it on one of your platforms, yes?
I'm asking, do you think that that might be a valuable application of the extraordinary work that you're doing in helping people come to terms and
Mm.
resolve the fear of death by the IDA method and engaging their out of body capabilities before they die? Do you not think that that might be a beautiful way of threading the fear of the Great Divide?
Yes. So yes, that is, and that's actually what I've also done as well on consciously. Um, you will find David. David has there's a part one and part two that I've filmed with David. Now, the reason why I'm bringing him up is because he's studied my work, went through the process, while at the same time, because of his heart issue, he's had near death experiences. So this is someone that has had a near-death experience, have access to the he's presented with the life review in the out-of-body state, and you'll hear, so it's not just coming from me, I could tell you, but it's they are the same thing. The out-of-body state and near-death is the same thing. You access dead relatives, your guides. I've been given a life review as well. So in short, I'm already doing that. That's sort of what I'm doing now. And and to also answer that as well, yes, yes, I believe that'll be beneficial. But
Wonderful.
I want to go back to this as well. The everything that I do in terms of, because I don't want people to think of this like a course. That's something that I was very hesitant to do in the way that I'm teaching this, because I know integrity is the highest thing for me. And even when I cross over, even when I'm not here, I have to make sure that I'm walking in integrity here all the way through for myself and also for the work that I've agreed to do, so that I don't leave in pain, because
Mm.
because I know the pain that I've experienced there from withholding certain things. Love, greatest pain I've ever felt in my life. It does not compare once you're there. So I've I always recommend people before they even do anything with my work, because it's all based on contributions. It's contributions
Mhm.
towards the mission. And so people become a part of that mission. Not necessarily, even though it's in a course way, it's not that. I'm not really selling anything in that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It, yeah, okay. All right. People could contribute, they can learn the methodology, but it's all based on contributions.
Oh,
The
that's
way that
beautiful.
I've,
Love that.
yeah, yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, perhaps we'll pick up that conversation because I'd be very, very keen to. Um, how,
Yes, yeah.
what kind of application is required from the average layman? Is it to familiarize themselves with the AIDA method? Is it something that takes days, weeks, months, years? What's your general
Um,
experience?
it depends. Someone like you, Sasha, you like it, just knowing you, the way that you're speaking to me and the experiences that you've had. Um, it's going to be very okay. Okay, you got it. Like within the first week, then you got the information. Now it's about practicing it. I've set up group experiments too. I've started off small with small groups of people, so I could then test it with a small group to then present it to larger groups, where we were picking targets in Antarctica, things that you couldn't make up, like, people seeing things targeting each other that you couldn't possibly, you can't know these things unless you were physically there, but we were seeing it. And then I started to take that into a larger group setting, getting people the energy environment and stuff, to where even this one lady was in the group that I was doing as well, teaching this to. And this is going off topic, I know, but I'm gonna go right back to what you were saying as well. But where she was actually seeing her son that was in the military. She wanted to see her son. She can't communicate with her son, but she was able to leave her body, see her son in the military, and see his thought forms, and have a connection with her son that she would have never have had, because she was actually seeing his thoughts, his things, of what he truly felt. And this is what you tap into. You tap into, people talk about the 4D, 5D, like all this, the whole light spectrum becomes open to you to see and observe. But going back to what you were saying as well, um, once you have the material, once you understand the material, it's just practice. That's the only difference for me, why I could tonight, yeah, if I decide to really put the energy into it and leave my body, is because I have the will, I have the effort, like, and that's what's required. It's like, okay, I'm doing this tonight, and I'm not going to exit the process just because I feel uncomfortable. Like I
Very
will
good.
be in the, you see what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's
Very
the
good.
greatest dictator of success with it.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
yeah,
Very
yeah,
good.
okay.
About 10 years ago as well, we set up, or I set up a Jedi Council with some remote viewers and clairvoyants and sensitives, and even scientists. and hardcore scientists as well were part of that Jedi Council. And what we were doing at that time, this was just when I'd launched the New Earth Project, and we thought that it would be very interesting to put a group of international diviners together of multiple disciplines, where they were meeting once, sometimes twice a week online, and then
Mm.
doing group exercises. And we did this for a couple of years, for
Yes.
a few years, and it was very, very interesting. The work that came out of it was very, very interesting indeed. We would have these different sensitives and clairvoyants and even some medicine, I guess you'd call them shaman, ayahuasca masters and Santo Daime masters, who would also participate and then take the divinations, the work we were doing, into group settings with 200 or 300 ayahuascan, ceremonial masters doing work. And we were doing scientific experimentation as well, very advanced
Yes.
quantum scientific experimentation, which again, my crew, my network, inner network knows about this because I've spoken only in the last year about some of it. And I'm about to do a big reveal on it with photographs and bring some of the scientists and remote viewers into some media stuff to talk about what we were doing in 2000. And, before that, even 2008, 9, 10, 11, we were involved in these kind of experiments. It was only 10 years ago that I formalized that Jedi Council and tried to see if we could create something that could be a real icebreaker planetarily. I'll give you an example,
Mm.
Darius. One
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
things that
yes.
I'm very keen to do is to foray underneath the Getty Museum, for instance,
Mm.
in the United States. And we know that there are trapped children. We know that there are underground systems and
Mm.
cage systems. We know about the trafficking and about the ritual harvest that's going on in some parts of the world, connected to the leopard cults in Africa, all the way to the satanic cults in North America.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
my real objective is to try to get remote viewing to tap into some of these vectors in order to then alert a good Miltel operatives as to where they can go and do the retrievals. Do you think that that might be even more possible nowadays with the shift in consciousness to be able to use talents like you have to be able to do those kinds of investigations?
Absolutely. And I say that with absolute confidence, not arrogance, because you're talking about the children and the sacrifices and stuff.
Yeah.
When that information was coming out, um, like I'm a very, you could say I'm open-minded, but I'm also very closed-minded because me, unless I see it out of body, I don't necessarily want to speak about it. And so when all that information was coming out, I actually was like, okay, I want to see if this is true. I actually targeted tunnels. And and I've been very hesitant to even say that. I think I brought it up like a sort of like in other interviews as like a hush hush thing. But the
Mm.
whole sacrifices of children, adrenochrome, all that stuff is 100%. So could you target that? Yeah, I've done it myself. And it's
Very
like
good.
you start talking about these things, it's yeah, yeah. And you could go precise locations of one of the ones that I've located was right in front of your face underneath the military base. So yeah,
Very good.
but yeah,
Thank you. I'm
yes, you
definitely
can.
pick up a conversation with you there without any question of doubt.
Yeah,
I'll be harassing you on the telephone imminently. Well, Darius,
yeah.
very beautiful, beautiful conversation, a beautiful revelation. And um, just to clarify, how can, because I know a lot of people in the Lazarus network are going to want to reach out to you. What's the best way of connecting to you?
Um, I just what I would recommend people doing is just reading the mission, reading my mission, then looking through the work that I have, and then if people want to get involved, then that's how they do it. They just go to my site. Yeah, but I'm not. I'm hesitant anymore of even doing that. Just DariusJWright.com, or just look up Darius J. Wright, my name, and the information should come up of that what you're looking for. So yeah,
Beautiful, Darius. If there's any closing reflections that you want to put out there, please do so. But I know that there's going to be tremendous interest in this conversation, and I'm certainly going to be picking up a private conversation with you after this.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you for
Cheers,
joining.
man. No, no closing remarks. I just want to say thank you. This has been a very, very good interview. So I appreciate it. I've been able to cover things. You've asked a lot of good questions, and you're good. So I appreciate it, Sacha. Thank you.
Beautiful. Well, God bless you,
Yes.
brother, and I'll speak to you privately soon. Bye now.
Yes. Bye.